You want me to shut this door over here?
That's right. No, okay.
It doesn't matter.
No. Okay, this is John from Flint Talk Radio, and some people who have been watching our stuff we do here at Flint Talk Radio know who this is. It's Russell Wayne Mettler. Let's see, you're a solo performer. You also play with, you had played with Crop Circle, and you also do Toolology, which is like a tribute band to the band Tool.
Yeah.
And also you're here for wearing a different hat, even though you're not wearing really a physical hat. It's Russell Wayne speaking on behalf of Building Strong Women.
Yes, Building Strong Women.
Well, let's go into that basically too. And also I got questions about that. I mean, obviously you're kind of different gender than usually the Building Strong Women part usually would indicate. But I think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't think there should be like this us against them camp, and I mean definitely your involvement shows that you're willing to cross that line, and and I think they need help too. I think they need help, and I think it's a worthwhile cause. But anyway, you're a father, so basically, I think every man out there who has a daughter would want to see a strong woman in the future. So maybe that's your reason why you're involved. I don't know. I just off the top of my head, but. Anyway, let's go into it. It's like basically this was started. Charlotte Lancaster, she's the one that founded.
Yeah, she founded it, and I can't remember what year. I mean, I've been a part of the organization for about a year now, and her story is pretty amazing because she witnessed her mother was murdered right in front of her by her father, and she slipped into a pretty deep depression for a while, and she ended up writing a book and then starting this foundation. And I mean, it says Building Strong Women, but there are men out there that are abused too. It's not like men wouldn't need help in these kind of situations. I mean, it helps women that are part of domestic abuse and help them get over drug addictions. So
it's that kind of pairing too. It's like usually you have. In pretty much every scenario that I've seen where there's abuse, it's either alcohol or drugs or a combination of both. The abuse seems to take place more often in homes where people are participating in the illegal drug trade or overindulging in the very legal, imbibement of alcohol. So I mean, it's like those seems to always be kind of not always, but I'd say 95%, 98% of the time, there's usually there's a connection to some substance abuse going on and the abuse. So that's kind of a commentary, where we win as a country. I mean, we have a lot of this going on.
Right. And they have a 3-step program where when they bring these women into the house or the men, and they have two of the steps where they have these safe houses. And they're supervised through the first couple of steps where they're trying to teach them how to live, how to pay their bills, take care of their kids, and get them off the drugs. And then they evolve into that third step to where they're given some freedom and trying to get them a job, try to pay their bills, and then move them out so they can become productive members of society. Because a lot of it, like when you're in an abusive type relationship, usually it's both sides going back and forth. It's usually not just the woman sitting there and just all innocent, and the guy just comes up and beats on her. It's usually a give and take, because there's also mental abuse that goes in with the physical abuse. And as a man, that a woman can be mentally abusive just as much as a guy could be physically abusive. Yeah. So what you have to do is kind of define where the problem is, and a lot of the times it has to do with the illegal drugs and the heavy stuff. I mean,
it's like I could definitely see. I've been I've been around Flint all my life, and it's always been it was always a hotbed for dysfunctionalism. I would say it that way. I mean, I can't. When I wasn't going through abnormal psychology classes in college, I found myself being able to relate to that and actually have examples of that, more often than I did for the ones who are considered the ideal development for individuals. I mean, I saw a lot of the shops around here, the factory workers, I should say, a lot of them were seriously involved with drugs. I mean, it was a kind of a mind-numbing drug, job for a lot of people. They basically had to self-medicate, they thought, to be able to get through it. And that was part of the culture here. Growing up, you saw that. I mean, It was a large scale. And it's like, a lot of abuse situations. I was also a probation caseworker for 9 years in Genesee County as a volunteer. And Pretty much every case where I was dealing with a kid doing something that brought him into the attention of the juvenile justice system, there was some kind of dysfunctionalism, usually related to drug abuse or substance abuse of some form. So I mean, I'd say 98% of it times, So.
And maybe it should be building strong people.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it does take a strong person to recognize the fault. Because that's part of the problem is that a lot of people don't actually realize that there is a problem. So you can't defeat a problem unless you realize that there's a problem in the first place. So them recognizing that, I mean, that's probably, I would think, is part of the first step is, admitting that fault. And then, you got to turn your faith, turn to your faith. I mean, God is a really big part of this program too. Because you have to have faith.
It's like, well, it's like in this age right now, we have a lot of atheism and going on. A lot of people who are atheists, and I'm not going to sit there and quibble about the theological viewpoints, but if you just look at the statistics that come out of the people going through rehab of some sort or some kind of like a severe challenge to them physically, emotionally, and everything else, those people, it's been this has been documented. Those people who believe in a higher power, God, whatever, seem to have a less tendency to for recidivism, and also have a better chance of getting through this scenario than those who basically don't have that zone to go to, that comfort to grab. So it might be a crutch. I'm not going to sit there and quibble up, but it does seem faith-based things do have more of a success rate. Mm-hmm. And that's like
there's a reason for that.
I mean, you see, the hostility levels of people who are atheists now seems to be like elevated to beyond points I really can't comprehend. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I believe in God, but I also believe in science. I mean, and some people want to put it like you got to be one or the other.
Oh, man, no way.
And it's like, no, I said that's they don't understand. And the thing is, they're dealing with an area I don't think they even have to address to be considered a scientist. Idea of faith or those heavy philosophical things like that are something I don't think they should concern themselves. So it shouldn't be that big of a concern for a so-called scientist. Look at the pragmatic things first,
Right. Well, and to me, and we can close the religion door here. Religion is for you.
Right.
And for you. Your own personal relationship with God is what you have. And nobody else would have the right to tell you what you believe or what you don't believe. That's one of the great freedoms here in the United States of America.
I agree, but it just seems to be this animosity towards believers, and I don't understand that. They always want to quote, all these people want to quote, like, well, the Crusades. Well, when is there a crusade going on here in the 20th century, 21st century?
It's just on Facebook. The crusade is on Facebook now instead of...
it's like, I think it's...
And in the other countries. I mean, really, a lot of people that live in this country don't realize how good we do have it because of all the... the government's corrupt. Okay, everybody knows this. But when you go to a different country and you see people that are actually dying just because they believe in what they want to believe in, and they get their head chopped off. I mean, that happens today. So, I mean, just the fact that we can be in a free country, and then we can be and I can support a project like Building Strong Women, that there is actually a place to turn to when the chips are down. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like so many organizations out there, and it seems like there's always somebody out here in the Genesee County area. I mean, that's always willing to come up to start something like that. It takes a lot of effort.
I'm sitting here and I'm hearing this ding, and
yeah, I was hearing that too. I thought it was
it was my phone was going off, and I was thinking I was making good points, and the dinger was ding. All right, good point, Russ. Ding.
Yeah, I don't have a special effects generator here for that. Yeah.
I was being like, man, you're awesome, John. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's like I was wondering where that was coming from too. I was looking at my phone, but no. Anyway, we'll get back to this Building Strong Women. Now, the organization's been around for how long, would you say?
I think it's 2006. And I should have been more prepared, but they asked me to come in and be the spokesperson, and I understand that because I love talking about positive things in Flint. So I don't know, maybe it just comes a little bit more natural for me to be able to speak on their behalf, and it's quite an honor. But I need to get in there and really study some of the details here. But I believe it was 2006.
So
it's founded.
And also we're going to highlight too there's going to be upcoming event. I got a little flyer I grabbed off of Facebook.
Okay.
I'll put that up there. Building Strong Women, and it's going to be at Bees Bowling Center.
Yep.
750 Center Road, Flint, Michigan. It's going to be March 28th, 2014, and this is going to be a fundraiser for Building Strong Women?
Yeah, but the thing is they have safe houses, and they're always in the process of looking for a good deal on a house so they can have more places for, because, I mean, there's a lot more women that are in trouble than they can actually help. So it's like they need to grow, and they need to grow fast. And they owe some taxes on these 2 new houses that they just got. And, yeah, it's $20 per person. You get, a couple games of bowling, pizza, pop, and the shoes are included in that, and it's just, come out and hang out with the girls that are part of the organization, bowl, and they all suck at bowling, so it's not like a big deal.
You're very popular, Russ. Anyway, it's like it sounds like it's a good event. I mean, I haven't bowled in years myself, but I mean that's about what you'd pay if you were going out to bowl. I mean, just the average person to bowl.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to have pizza and pop. You're going to get your shoe rental here for the $20 as well included. So I mean, I'm assuming it says shoes right on there. So I mean,
yep.
That's normal. It should drop if you're just going out there heading out there.
If you were going out to bowl, that's what you would pay in the Bees Bowling Center, and they're going to be donating the money back to the Building Strong Women to help them with the taxes on this house.
Now, how many women are involved? How many people are involved in this organization currently?
I mean, it's like a revolving door in there. A lot of people come in and volunteer. I mean, they've helped hundreds of women throughout the years to help get back on their feet. Some of them make it through. Some of them don't. I mean, the success rate probably isn't really high because of where they're at.
Right.
I mean, it all has to do with the individual trying to go through, but they have to have a place where they know that someone would be able to help them.
So yeah, because the Flint area is very
down.
Very down. I mean, it's like I love this town and I hate it at the same time. I have Flint Talk Radio. I'm part owner of this, but I can't always be the cheerleader though. I mean, sometimes I got to be very realistic. I got to take this is a very harsh area to live in. It's always been a rough and tumble town, but when he had more money over there, it didn't seem to be at the surface level.
Well, they had jobs. They had more jobs going. And, yeah, that's exactly what it is. But the thing is, I turn on the news all the time, and all I hear is, this person got murdered and all the bad things that happen. And if all we do is focus on what's bad, everyone's going to think that it's all bad. And it's not. It's not all bad. There's good things that are going on here in Flint. There's people that are trying to feed the hungry. The church that I'm part of, the New Creation Church of God, is out there, and they have a soup kitchen. They're feeding people. They went out and did a homeless drive and gave out like 500 bags full of like personal hygiene equipment and blankets and stuff during the coldest part of winter. I mean, there's good things like that are going on, and I think that needs to be highlighted a lot more than all the bad stuff. Bad stuff is here. I mean, we know this.
So what I think they also too. They you already alluded to it that the Building Strong Women try to help women get jobs, and there are a lot of programs available here in the Genesee County area which helps people go back to college. It gets them the funding. Tries to get the basic essentials in place so they can actually go back. Which basically it's the failure rate or what a success rate. It's going to be depend on them and their commitment level.
For sure.
But we do a lot. They do a lot here. I mean, we have the emergency shelter for women up here in Delaware and Franklin, which is 2 or 3 blocks from where the studio's at. So I mean, it's like we have a lot of issues, but we never try to sugarcoat it. We never try to hide it. We've always addressed them.
Yep, and you should. And Building Strong Women is also a middle person too for a lot of those things, because if Building Strong Women can't help these women or men out directly, then they're partnered up with a lot of these other different organizations to where they'll put you into the organization that you need to be in. So you can find a means to an end, even if it isn't through Building Strong Women. That will put you with the people that can help you.
No, it's like I think it's of course you being a man. Some people are going to be kind of puzzled to why you're involved with it. You have your reasons. I mean, you have and like I said, I think every man. I think there's just something a meme was going on Facebook just last night about It was a statistic, and they had a picture of a guy holding a little baby daughter, allegedly, I guess it was his daughter, but he was holding her, and basically the statistic was something like men are involved in their child, their girls' lives are going to have, the girl's going to see less likelihood of being in an abusive situation, and especially if it's a fairly healthy relationship she sees from her parents, or from, even if they're not together, they have this respect for each other, not bad-mouthing each other, not using misusing substances. They're going to have a better shot at life, and it's like, and that's such a simple message, but it seems to be one so needed right now, and not only in this area, but the whole entire United States.
Well, you're worth something. There's the biggest message that they need to realize is you're worth something. You've never done something so bad that, okay, that's the last straw, and the world should turn its back on you. You are worth something. If you decide to make that change in your life, you can. You can't do anything about the past. You got to write that off and cut that piece of baby fat off you and move forward.
Right. We do have all these things in place, like the Building Strong Women organization. I was talking to people from on Facebook from the Philippines. And one woman, I said, everybody's, I don't want people to think this is like streets for paved with gold here. And I said, well, why do you still have this respect, even though you see in the news, we got all these problems, economic. And she goes, because America does everything it can to help its weaker members. Mm-hmm. And I get tired of the domestic spending, because I think a lot of times it's like, because it doesn't seem to have enough, success rate. We spend these programs. But the thing is, there's never going to be an end to this. I mean, it's like we do have liberty in our world lives where people can make their choices, and a lot of times they're not going to make the best ones. So you always got to weigh that in, the fact that we do have that kind of society, people making their own choices. You're going to always have to have something in place to help those who are going to be affected by those other people's choices. And, let's face it, a woman or a man makes a bad choice. Yep. If they have children, it's going to impact upon their innocent children. They didn't do anything to deserve this. They didn't have to be born.
Well, look at it like a percentage. I mean, if you look at 100%, you have 100% of America, right? There's always, when you look at that bottom 10% of what America is, those people are going to have problems no matter what. No matter what, there's that percentage. You're never going to cure it to where, everybody's walking around the Garden of Eden hunky-dory and we're, dancing and singing in the rain.
Right.
There's always going to be a problem, and I don't think that you should ever stop trying to help people. It's like, this is the last straw. That's kind of why we're here.
It's like, you've been involved in this organization about a year, you said, right? So, yep. And I don't know how many other organizations. I've heard you've done benefits for other organizations, so I don't know if you officially are part of those or just helping them out, because you were fundraisers for other organizations.
Well, this is the first organization that I really wanted to get in and get hands on, and not that any of the other organizations that I've worked with, like the Whaleys and that they're any better or any worse. It was just. It got to a point where I'm doing a benefit, I'm playing my guitar or the band is playing, and you don't really know where the money's going, or you don't know, you don't have firsthand knowledge of what's going on in the organization, and I like to know a little bit more. That's one of the things that I like about this organization, because I know where they're spending their money. I know that when somebody donates money to this organization, that it's going to either go to a house or it's going to go into helping one of these women get from point A to point B.
Yes. So you can see where the money goes, and it's accountability. Yep. Matter of fact, you don't have to go to some higher up and try to get a hold of some kind of, go through some intermediaries to a larger, like if you're trying to reach and I'm not bad-mouthing, but say the Red Cross. That's an international organization.
Right.
Even if you just want to get the United States director of it, you're going to have to go through so many intermediaries. And besides, their focus is totally different than Red Cross. So probably not a good example, but I'm just saying here there's more accountability. You can say, what are you doing here? Well, what's going on here? When's this going to happen?
Right.
You can actually have more. You basically have their ear quicker.
Right.
Get access to the ear quicker.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
they got not to cut you off, but they got the FedEx grant. That's one of the things I've been posting on Facebook to try to get. It's a small business grant that Charlotte became part of, and what they're trying to, it's one of those vote things where on Facebook where all you have to do is go in and cast your vote, and there's a possibility that if they won this grant, that they could get some money donated directly to the organization. And I know for a fact, because I just talked to Charlotte like 2 days ago, that from these last two houses that they bought, that there's $3,000 in unpaid taxes that need to be paid on these houses before they can start helping women and getting into this house. So that's part of the bowling event. But if they get this FedEx grant, I mean, it's up to $25,000, and it would make a world of difference for this organization if they were to get that money and help them really get a jump start.
Right. If you look at the CEO salaries of a lot of these corporations, that's $25,000 is not probably what they would pay for having a luncheon for a group of people.
Right, exactly.
But it's a drop of water. But let's face it, the drop of water would be when you're living in a desert. It makes a huge impact.
Yep.
And it's like, to use that analogy, I mean, it just basically, you wouldn't believe how much good could be done with that $25,000 locally.
So it's really easy. When you go to the Building Strong Women Facebook, They have links on there, and there's actually an event. And if you become part of the event, then Charlotte will send you a reminder every day to come and vote. And you can actually vote every day until February 25th. So there's only a couple more days. But if everybody that's listening out there is hearing me right now, all you got to do is go to that site and cast your vote. It doesn't cost you any money. All you got to do is spend 10 seconds of your time. And if you add yourself to the event, it's really easy, because they'll send you a link in the morning, and it's 2 clicks, and you've helped. And yeah. I would really appreciate that if you all would do that.
No, I try to get behind as many organizations as possible by basically giving them time to talk about their upcoming events, try to give them publicity for them, and also a lot of times I do go to the events. I throw the money into the pot like everybody else. So, I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, let's face it, a lot of people will say, well, $20 or this or whatever. I said, yeah, well, look, you're smoking cigarettes at almost $6 a pack.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like you can't just toss that money in instead of, kind of offset your visit to the cancer ward. Throw your money in behind a charity. You know what I mean? It's because
that's like, 2 gallons of gas?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you got to put that in perspective. I mean, and $20, to this organization coming from people is going to be a significant impact. I mean, anyway, also, so I go scrolling on the banner too. It's buildingstrongwomen.net. They also have a Facebook presence. Do you go through the Facebook page to go to that site to vote, or do you got to go to another?
Well, it's part of the FedEx vote for FedEx $25,000 giveaway grant site. And
right.
Instead of me trying to tell you how to navigate through their site, we just put the link up on the Building Strong Women. You can get there through the .net or the Facebook.
Okay.
Either way.
Because I'll tag it when we're done with this, and people, when you've got a proper URL, people click on that. When it's written out, they'll just be sent right to it. So I mean, that's going to be kind of taken. We'll even try to reduce the effort needed here.
Exactly. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to help out.
So anyway, besides this event, we'll put it up here again too. We'll put the image up of the.
And they have a whole calendar of events on the Facebook. I mean, they're going to be doing like a clothing drive, and I think that one's coming up in April.
Yeah.
And they have events planned. They do a daddy-daughter dance and mother-daughter dance during the Mother and Father's Day time, and
I think it sounds like. I mean, I've seen the postings for Building Strong Women for several months now on Facebook. So I mean, I've been more aware of them, and also, but I didn't know you're involved until just the other day. You called me about this, and I said, "Wow, I didn't know you're part of this." And definitely, you're involved in so many things, though. I mean, I've seen you around for different benefits.
Yeah, I'm spread out pretty thin.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing is, I think you give up a lot of your time. I mean, and it's like you're a person who's struggling to make ends meet like everybody else around here. So I mean, that's. People say, well, he hasn't wrote a check. I said, yeah, you realize what this person's actually sacrificed in the long run to help out this organization?
Yep.
He's not concentrating his own issues. He's actually helping try to help other people. So, I mean, you can't badmouth people who are, donating their time and their talents. That can't be overlooked. I mean, otherwise you couldn't get anywhere with any kind of event like this.
Well, really, it's about action. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to, stereotype people, but, when I go to church, a lot of people will go to church and they'll drop $20 into the collection plate and walk away with their sins forgiven. But really, when it comes to religion, the biggest thing about religion to me is that you go out and you make a difference in the community, and you help out people that are less fortunate than you. And action. You get up and do it. Cook the dinner for the hungry person.
Well, look at the image of Christ himself did. I mean, he was willing to wash the feet of his disciples. He basically was out there in amongst the lepers and every, his face in that world there. I mean, they didn't know what caused leprosy. He was putting himself right there, possibly in harm's way. But and another thing, Christianity too. I think that there's a realistic expectation, because Christ never says, poverty is going to be taken away. He said kind of cryptically, if you want to say, he said it very upfront, but the meaning behind it was cryptic, that the poor will always be with you. What do you mean by that? I mean, if God is some people, accuse God of not being just because he doesn't eliminate poverty, but it's a human-driven set of operations that cause poverty. Unless he took away free will, he wouldn't take away, he couldn't violate his own principle. So that potential for poverty always exists in the world, because people's actions against other people.
Well, he purposely put himself into poverty.
Right.
I mean, he says, if you want to be like me, sell everything that you own, grab your cross, and come.
Right. So
bring it on. Let's go sacrifice together.
That's the reason why I have a lot of issues with the name it and claim it theology that I see out there. Like, God wants you to be successful. He wants you to have spiritual success. He wants you to have a connection to him. But I don't see where opulence is ever guaranteed any follower of Christ.
No, you can't keep anything.
Well, you're going to be in the grave.
Yep.
So, if at some point somebody else is going to get your stuff, you could write a will, you could have a trust, whatever, but ultimately that could fall by the wayside. It could be challenged, contested in court.
It belongs to all of us. I mean, when you inherit the earth was put here for everybody. And all the theological people, they can argue all they want, because that's pretty much against Scripture right there, is to argue against it. You lead by example. Get out there and show what you're about, not talk what you're about.
Right.
Be about it.
Just do it. I mean, it's like Mother Teresa not only taught, but she also was out there every day taking care of the poor and the sick. And how many years did she do that? I mean, she put herself at serious physical peril because of all the diseases she was exposed to. She succumbed at a very old age. She was in her 90s, I think. But I mean, in a way, the process, you actually find yourself by losing yourself. I mean, it sounds kind of, well, it's actually very Christian, but it's also got a Zen. Zen will quote that too. I mean, you do find yourself when you're actually in your labors. You actually find yourself. That's why I think this is kind of a labor.
When you give, you actually receive.
Right.
Because it makes you feel good when you put a smile on somebody's face because of something that you did for them. Then you feel good about yourself. That's you receiving something. That's not you being holier than thou and, oh, wow, look at how awesome I am. God doesn't recognize that. God says, wow.
Well, see, I think, I look at it philosophically too, and theologically, but I think anything that is, if it's rational, it's going to be for the good. It's going to be like, it's going to be for your own. It's going to be motivated for concern for yourself, though. And let's face it, if you feel that you're a part of this world and you want to bring a message, you actually want to represent a message you find, the gospel. You want people to be embracing of that. Then you got to be the best example you can for it, because that serves your purpose in life. So it's based on a self-interest, though. You're helping other people, which means that you're kind of not being selfish, but you're motivated out of a sense of self-purpose, self-interest. It's like kind of a bizarre, almost like a paradox. But you're doing it because of your own self-interest, because you feel the need of that being in the world so much, you're willing to be the example.
Right.
Yes, I mean, it is, but if it's based out of self-interest.
And just be prepared when you go out and you're trying to live that way. I mean, there's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people to criticize you, and, oh, why are you doing that? Or, oh, this is what you really mean. And you just got to kind of brush that off, turn the other cheek and just keep doing what you're doing.
It's like I don't understand people, like, I'm not a naysayer when it comes. I just don't like placing blame on certain people I know are not responsible. But I have an issue with just attacking somebody who wants to do good in the world, bring something good about in the world. I have issues with them just being attacked blindly. Now, if there's some people who want to put a burden on people who are already being burdened, I have an issue with that. You're going after the people who already do as much as they can. Let's face it, you got that 10% out there. And it's always a 10% or something. Margaret Mead made that quote, famous. She said about, if you're wondering about what a small percentage it could do to change the world, it's always been that small percentage.
Yeah.
I paraphrased it terribly,
Yep.
but it's always been that small percentage. And could you imagine the world being in existence without those people who were, the people screaming, "Stop! There's something wrong. I don't like what's going on. We got to change." Could you imagine if there wasn't that handful of the disillusioned?
Well, check this out. I mean, could you imagine if that top 1%? I mean, this is something that blows my mind when I think about it. But that top 1%, the billionaires that are out there, could you imagine if those billionaires that make billions every year actually tithed?
Yeah, I mean,
think about how much money there is floating around in the world right now, and how much profit that's being made between the gas companies, insurance companies, and all the biggest corporations in the world. Imagine if those people didn't just give, $2 million a year, if they actually tithed and gave that $100 million every year.
And there's something like face it. I mean, I see people like Bill Gates who've given large sums of cash to like helping out the AIDS, preventing of diseases in other countries.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah, I can't criticize him for that.
You can't criticize them. But just think about that. If you have $100 and you give $10 out of the $100, you only have $90 left. Now, a guy like Bill Gates, and I'm not criticizing this guy, but let's say that he made $50 billion in that. Yeah, I mean, did he really put in $5 billion? Did he give away $5 billion? Now he probably gave away $500 million last year, and I'll throw my fist in the air and go, way to go, man, that's awesome. Or maybe he didn't give that much, but just imagine John Lennon. John Lennon says, imagine all of the people sharing the world.
And the thing is, I think that's an attainable, and I'm not an optimist by any measure, but I think it's largely more attainable is the less we depend upon leaders, because those leaders are going to use people against each other, and then they're going to be the ones benefiting. The leadership is, but we're going like totally in different philosophical.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like we always.
Well, we need Bill Gates to donate $1 million to building strong women.
Well, that would set this organization, and they probably want to share a lot of that with the resources for other people. I mean, it would have a real huge impact if you could get $1 million in this area.
It would be amazing.
So anyway, you got the event come up on March 28th, right?
Yep. And that's only $20. That's not $1 million. It's just $20 and you get the bowl.
You got to like that. No, it's like, and also you also got things going on too about you got also your own personal stuff going on too, right?
I got a show on Friday at Jack's Place in Flushing. It's a solo acoustic show, and then I'm going to be up in Saginaw at this place called Woody O'Brien's on Saturday night.
Okay. And people can find you on Facebook.
On Facebook, and I give guitar lessons, and that's pretty much my life. Take care of my kids, and
it's like, and you're really behind these kind of efforts, which I really salute you on. I think this is really, really decent of you to go out and be involved in the community as much as you have, because I've seen you do I don't know how many benefits. When the Crop Circle did benefits, you do benefits on your own. I think that's good. I mean, and I've always seen that willingness. A lot of people here do that kind of stuff. I mean, they do. I mean, it's a very compassionate, county. Genesee County is a very compassionate county. They've actually done a lot to help those members who are less fortunate and who are in need. So I mean, I really can. As bad as the city of Flint is and perceived, we actually have some very decent, warm-hearted, compassionate people here. So. Anyways,
and if it's the worst city in America, like a lot of people think that it is, I mean, there's hope.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of good people around here.
So anyway, anything else you want to give a head up before we wrap this up, or?
No. I'd like to see you at the New Creation Church on Sunday. I'm doing praise and worship on Sunday, and that starts at 5:00. The church is on McKinley Avenue in Flushing. The First Presbyterian Church, and praise and worship is just me playing the guitar with one of the youth. His name's RJ, and we do some harmonies, and we have some fun there at that church. And they got a good youth ministry over there too.
Okay, well, Russell, thanks for coming in and talking about this event, and hope it has a huge turnout, and you maybe help them put over the top so they can actually, apply this towards when they do get, and hopefully they do get that big, grant or that loan or whatever it is from FedEx. I mean that would be just too good to happen.
I'll be on here next week if they get that grant. I'll let you know, and then I'll come on here and we'll have to put a big thank you out. I'll put a big thank you out to anybody.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks a lot, and I'll put the as we're leaving, I'll leave the information up on there so people can watch it, look at it. Anyway, thanks again, Russ.
Hey, thanks for having me, John.